Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
I want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline show. As always, we want to say thank you for our viewers and listeners for tuning in to listen to this valuable information that we share on the NFB Newsline show. Florence, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Lee. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, and I tell you, NFB Newsline is consistently growing with new publications and just a plethora of information on our state information channel. So you may want to join in and listen to the comments from the shows and some of the other things that goes on with NFB Newsline. Pay close attention to our commercials. And our commercials are being, they're by individuals from the state of Indiana, affiliate for the National Federation of the Blind throughout the state of Indiana. So there's a lot of information on how to contact us, a lot of information about the free NFB Newsline service that allows individuals that are print challenged or blind, those with certain forms of dyslexia, even the deafblind now, can use this free service. So to access over, 500 newspapers now, Florence?
Over 500.
And what about the magazines?
Oh, goodness, there's a plethora of magazines, and you already know I enjoy reading those magazines. I want to start off with AARP because I love reading that one. First of all, Guidepost magazines, there's Reader's Digest. There's Ebony magazine. There's a magazine for everyone. There's also WebMD. I love that magazine as well, Lee.
And there's also a magazine for children.
It is.
Stone Soup.
Stone Soup. Now, the children really like that magazine because it gives them an opportunity not only to read, but to write in and get their stories published. So.
Yeah, you know, and for those that are sighted, this may sound a little frivolous to you, but when you lose your sight or when you can't turn pages or when you just have difficulty reading the print, this means the world to us. So we want to thank the Indiana State Library for being one of our sponsors and also our state legislatures. So listen to the comments, and we'll be right back with a fabulous guest. You don't want to miss what she has to say. So stay tuned.
Now, thanks to NFB Newsline, I feel that my eyes have been opened to a whole new world of information. I can again keep up with sports right along with my husband and sons. They're impressed that I have this service, and personally, I am too.
I was happy to see that I can again read Guidepost and Reader's Digest. It's funny when you think about how the simple things in life, like reading your favorite magazines, can make a heart smile. I want to thank the NFB Newsline team for what they do. Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Thank you for returning to our show. And once again, I said as we left and parted, we have a fabulous guest today, a lady that has served her community and continues to serve in a number of capacities. We are very proud to have on our show today State Representative Vanessa Summers. How are you today?
I'm good, sir, and how are you?
I'm doing fine, and thank you once again for coming on to our show.
Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
So you represent Indiana House District number 99?
Yes.
And where's that district located?
Okay. It is parts of downtown Indianapolis. I am just north of 10th Street, then I go all the way up, like let's say MLK, and I represent, for example, I'll give you places that'll help you. I represent like the Children's Museum. Then I go down and I represent Newfields. Then I represent part of the Indiana Motor Speedway. So my district is, I live behind Attucks High School, so it's that way going north. Then I represent parts of Hallville. So I have like Washington Township, have Center Township, I have like 2 precincts in Pike. So let's say Municipal Gardens is in my district. So I'll give you landmarks, that's easier. For example, like Lafayette Square really isn't in my district, but then some areas of Kessler off of 65 are in my district. So we represent 65,000 people apiece as for the 100 legislators.
Okay. And you're also a member of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus.
Oh, yes, I have been. That's a given. I think what people don't understand is that we have to watch the legislation to make sure that there's no legislation that will wipe out something that has been done or something that would hurt us.
Okay, well, Representative Summers, now how long have you been a member of the House of Representatives?
This is my 28th year.
28.
Yeah, I succeeded my dad, who died in 1991. I'm actually the same age he is when he passed. He passed at 61.
Wow. Now you serve your community in numerous capacities. Now, what inspired you to serve as a politician once you had to step up to the plate, then, so to speak?
Well, there's a little clause in the Indiana law that a family relative can take the unexpired term of a family member can take the unexpired term of that legislator. They had, because of the circumstances in the House at the time, they had opened my dad's seat up like 3 hours after he passed. And I will be honest that the late Julia Carson, when walked into my mom and dad's house, she said, "Go get your hair done, find a dress, you're running for office." You know, so that is exactly how that happened. You know, on the day that he had passed, because they had opened his seat up. And the circumstances in the House at the time was it was 50-50. Dad had passed and another representative had had a heart attack. So their numbers weren't equal anymore. Ann Delaney was the chair at the time. She opened up his office, 3 hours, and then it takes 10 days. So they needed 10 days before they could have an election. And so that's the reason they opened his seat up so early. And I was elected by the precinct people at that time to fill out his unexpired term, which would have been the short session of 1992.
Okay, but had you previously been interested in
what I did, you know, we were in the funeral business, and my dad would say, "Y'all take care of the funeral business while I go downtown and have fun." You know, honestly, that's what he really liked, being a legislator. So what happened was I I had done a lot of things to help him get elected. And when he got sick, I had started to going down to the State House, to watch over him to make sure he was okay. So I wasn't necessarily into the legislature, but I had spent plenty of years in politics helping him get elected.
Okay.
And those are two separate things. Those really, you got to get elected and then you have to legislate once you get in.
Mm-hmm. Now, what actually can you tell our audience? What does the representative do for the people?
We represent 65,000 people apiece. It's 100 members in the House. The Senate has 50 legislators, so they represent twice as many. And what we do is, for example, you have an idea for some legislation that would be beneficial for those that are blind. That is just an idea that you have. What I do is I take that idea and I take it through the process to help it become law. So you have just a general idea that might help. We have our own attorneys that tell us whether or not it could work or where in the laws that it sits. And then we take it through the process.
Okay, so would I be correct in saying that you might be mouthpiece for your people?
Oh, yes. Most definitely. Most definitely. Whatever happens in African American communities, we are the ones that help, because we do know that there can be a piece of a line in a piece of legislation that can wipe out programs that affect African Americans on a daily basis. So, we're their watchdogs to make sure that everything stays copacetic, I guess you want to say.
Okay.
And then we introduce legislation to help everybody, but especially, African Americans.
Okay. Now, what would you tell someone who basically says, why vote? Why should I vote?
Why should you vote? Well, first of all, I believe it's a duty. I believe that is something that every American should do. I don't understand why people say they don't vote. They say that their voices are not heard. But if you don't come on board and vote, then your voices won't be heard. So I think we're in a catch-22. People say their voices aren't heard, and then we say, well, we need your voice so it can be heard. So I think voting is important. And, our ancestors died and were beaten for the right to vote. And if nothing else, I'm going to vote because they were the ones helping us. I mean, in the past, they're the ones that fought and bled and died for our vote. And we need to always continue to remember that and always vote.
Well, we're going to take a short pause, but when we come back, we want to talk a little bit about your being the ranking minority member on the Family and Children and Human Affairs Committee. Okay, I think it's very important. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I am a CFP practitioner, and I happen to be blind. I rely on NFB Newsline to keep me current with Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation,
I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Welcome back to this week's National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. And we're talking to our guest today, Representative Vanessa Summers. And we've been talking about legislative things and things that are concerning our community with our representative. And Lee, how about us just continuing on where we left off?
Okay. Well, we were talking about your capacity that you serve as the ranking minority on the Family, Children, and Human Affairs Committee. So you want to tell us what the responsibilities are for that and what's that all about?
Well, you know, during the legislative session, one of the first readings is to have a committee hearing on legislation. So any legislation that is family and children oriented or women oriented or family oriented goes to family and children. And as ranking minority member, I try to work with the chairman to see which pieces are good pieces to talk about and try to discourage him from, if there's a bad piece of legislation that doesn't really need a hearing, try to discourage him from having that hearing, him or her. Now, we are waiting for who the new chairman is going to be for Family and Children because our past chairman, Representative Frizzell, resigned. And so we're waiting on who's going to be that next chairman for that committee. Things come through that committee dealing with, for example, kinship care, anything dealing with children. You know, we're having we're having an issue now with a lot of grandparents that are taking care of their grandchildren, but they don't have the legal paperwork, you know, all of those things that are needed to take care of their child. So we're trying to maneuver through the legislature to relax some things, for example, for kinship care. I also sit on the Children Commission, which is about the status of children, which was created by the Family and Children Committee. So we're just trying to make sure our babies are safe. You know, children in need of services, they said that the numbers are going down in that. Well, we know that the numbers are going down because family members are taking their children, but taking children and they come off of the child in need of services roles, but they're not getting any help. You know, we're people that absorb our family members into our family and we keep it moving, but kind of hard for grandparents because most of them could be on a fixed income and where they would need help, school clothes, books, you know, the things that they need, that might be kind of hard for them to get to. Or what kind of school you want to put your grandchild in, you know, just need a little help. So we're working through the Family and Children to bring up some legislation that helps our grandparents deal with their grandkids. They say it's because of the opioid crisis. You know, we have a lot of parents that have checked out and either, you know, when I say checked out, I mean they are following their path. Mm-hmm. But we have some of these parents that have passed away, you know, due to overdoses. You know, the number is rising on the actual parent passing and the grandchild having to be raised by their grandparent.
You know, that poses as a great problem because, you know, the health sometimes of grandparents, you know, significantly change. And to take on those roles sometimes can be a true burden.
And it is. And we need to figure out how to alleviate some of their stress. For example, can't take their grandchild to the doctor until they have some legal paperwork that says that they're taking care of them. But then you have a charge at an attorney's office, you're on a fixed income. So it's kind of like a bad cycle for some of these grandparents, and just trying to find ways to alleviate that for them.
Okay.
You know,
Go ahead.
You know, one of the bills that we would like to have introduced as the National Federation of the Blind affiliate here in Indiana, and which would be in conjunction with other states around us that have already adopted the bill, is the Parental Rights Bill. And there's numerous of blind and disabled parents that lose their children based upon misconceived perceptions that a blind person can't take care of that child. Oftentimes social workers step in and make a ruling, and also judges step in and make rulings. And there's been cases where children have been taken away right there at birth from the mother, and there's been a case where the child had to fight for the child and the parent, and the child didn't get returned to the parent for 6 months. You know, as an infant, right after, you know, that contact, that connection.
That bonding time.
That bonding, yeah.
6 months, yes.
So, you know, there's issues like that goes on throughout the country and the state. Here in Indiana, we have several cases that we know of. And as we spoke on earlier, you know, due to the HIPAA laws, a lot of these cases go unsurfaced. And we really would like to have the support for you guys to, you know, study this for us and see if it's we can bring it to fruition.
I really believe that's something that we all will be able to do. And I believe that, you know, you talked about the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. You've talked to most of our, you know, the members. I truly believe that that's something that we'll take on in the next legislative session. Now, you must understand it's only 2 months. So hopefully, you know, there's some legislation that is a no-brainer, and we say. And then there's some legislation, of course, that we get backlash and people that don't want to do it. So I don't see where there should be any backlash. Now, I think that maybe, do you think that there should be like maybe a little small educational piece to the Bill of Rights for the people that for judges and social workers, you know, to know that just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't take care of yourself and your family members?
Well, that is probably a great possibility, but you would think that they would have, you know, that already, you know, through their educational skills and all their training that they receive. But what we find is that is lacking, you know, as far as blind citizens participating in society, you know, actively. You know, we blind citizens, we like to work, we like to have families, and we raise families being blind, you know, we live a wholesome lives.
You live a whole life.
We do.
Yeah,
we really do.
That's the thing. I understand that. Well, I will promise you here and now that we will work on that. And that means that, Mr. Lee, you'll be coming down and testifying in committee.
And I have no problem with that, and we have a slew of other individuals that are willing and ready to come down and testify. You know, we have our state president to come in as well. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I'll work it out for you.
Okay. Now, Representative, now I know that you're in District 99. Well, tell me a little bit about what's going on in your district. What's upcoming? What's some of the initiatives that's already in place?
Well, there's a couple of things that I know. I know that the Flanner House, you've heard about the new bodega, Cleo Blackburn bodega over at the Flanner House. The Flanner House is trying, they're a community center, but they have opened up a grocery store and a bodega where you can come and meet, have little light meetings there and have a smoothie, or they even have, they're starting a food, some food, different foods. And then they have a grocery store in the back. We have a food desert along that area. And so they have started a grocery store for the neighborhood. And so I think that is a great thing that's going on in the neighborhood.
Good. Now, tell me, when is your next town hall meeting? I know that there's one.
Actually, I'm having a town hall meeting on Monday night at remember the old Church Federation building at 42nd and Michigan Road? It'll be there. I work for the Indiana Minority Health Coalition, and we're having our annual luncheon. But along with the luncheon, we are having a town hall meeting on black maternal mortality. We know that in Indiana, for example, African American women are dying through childbirth. 53 women out of 100,000 in a year are just plain dying from giving childbirth. We also know that there's some reasons behind that, and the reasons behind that is, and it doesn't matter your socioeconomical level. You could be rich and black or poor and black, but you have a danger of dying from childbirth a whole year after you give birth. We also, some of the reasons for that is the systemic racism in the hospital setting.
And we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this before we conclude our show for today. So stay tuned for this important information from our representative, Vanessa Summers.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Well, welcome back to the conclusion of our show today. We've been talking with our guest, Representative Summers, and Representative, do you have any thing you'd like to say before we close out?
I have a Black Maternal Mortality Town Hall meeting September the 16th. For more information, 317-926-4011.
And that'll be played on the screen, and take all that information, and please join her and join us, and we'll see you next week on a brand new show. Thank you very much for joining us.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.